Welcome to another fun-filled edition of Second City Sports Weekend Edition, Zoom style.
Zoom style.
Along with Miss Lakeena McGee, which is she. I am Cindy Brown. That's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the IG.
You can follow this podcast, Second City Sports. We are dropping videos every Monday and Friday right here on YouTube at WARR Media. Once again, at WARR Media. Videos first every Monday and Friday. Our podcast audio version will drop every Tuesday and every Saturday at WARR on Anchor. Once again, at WARR on Anchor. That's every Tuesday and Saturday for our podcast version, which keeps you over to Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, and that iHeartRadio app. We're available on all podcast platforms. Type in that search engine box, WARR on Anchor, and go to our website, weareregalradio.com for more details. And you can follow us once again on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at WARR Media. Once again, WARR Media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and right here on YouTube. Thank you in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
As George Hoffman, friend of the show, always says, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe.
That's gonna be like I wish we had like a little thing at the bottom where we're like subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. That would have been.
Yeah, we gotta ask our guy Dadrian Cologne about that. See if we can do something about that.
Yeah, he's probably good at that. He's good at that stuff. So yeah, we gotta get him to do it.
Yeah, we are unapologetically fun. Lakeena, let's start off with baseball since we are here in the great city of Chicago. Let's go to the south side of town. Let's address the big elephant in the room. No, not the White Sox taking 2 out of 3 from the Twins, which was important, but manager Tony La Russa stuck his foot in it again.
Yeah.
Let's follow the timeline. And this is the first time we comment on this. So for those of you that listen to everybody else throughout the week, we apologize, but I know you want to hear our thoughts on this silly manner. And during Monday's 16-4 rout of the Twins, Yermin Mercedes, the rookie designated hitter, hit a home run off the Twins' first baseman, which landed in the center field area. But the story was told that Yermin Mercedes missed the take sign. Following the game, Tony La Russa addressed the media and said that Yermin was clueless, and he wanted to go apologize to Twins manager Rocco Baldelli for quote-unquote running up the score. According to reports, the Minnesota Twins players were very outraged. We'll get into that part in a minute. During the next game, which the Sox lost 5-4 in 9 innings, the Minnesota Twins players took out their frustrations on Yermin Mercedes, i.e. pitcher Tyler Duffy, who threw at Mercedes' backside and was ejected from the game. Rocco Baldelli ran out to the mound and tried his best at being Bobby Cox and any other manager that you want to think of with a hot temper. That didn't work. His ass got tossed too, which prompted in a suspension for Tyler Duffy for 3 games and Rocco Baldelli for 1 game. The White Sox continued the next day with a great performance by Lucas Giolito with 11 strikeouts in 8 innings as the White Sox took the 3rd game of the series 2-1. And the White Sox, as we currently sit here today, which is Saturday, as of this recording, they are 26-16 with the best record in baseball. They have an important series with the New York Yankees this weekend, and the Bronx will give you our Siskel and Ebert reviews of the 3 games on our next episode. Lakeena, a couple of things here. Tony La Russa, I always say this about people. I'm not here to try to change your core values and what you believe in. Whatever helps you succeed in life, I'm all for it. As long as you don't impede your beliefs on anybody else or disrespect anybody else, I'm all for it. As I said before, Tony La Russa is a perfect manager that this team needs right now. But the only problem that I had was he called out Yermin Mercedes in public, calling him clueless and that he needs to learn the quote-unquote unwritten rules of baseball. If you believe that, that's fine. But with issues like that, take that behind closed doors. Once again, I'll repeat myself. Take that behind closed doors. Number 2, shout out to Lance Lynn and Tim Anderson for sticking up for their teammate in front of the media.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know as well as I do, Lakeena, this is still a young ball club. Yes, you have Jose Abreu. Yes, you have Dallas Keuchel. Yes, you have Lance Lynn, as I mentioned just a second ago. You still have young veterans in that locker room, but it's still a very young team. If you allow an issue like this to carry over on this ball club where expectations are very high, there's going to be a problem. And that's why we talked about this before we started recording, that Wednesday's game was very important. The White Sox played the clean game, and they won 2-1. If the White Sox didn't win their game on Wednesday, all hell would have broke loose. And whether it was true or not, the incident that happened on Monday night into Tuesday would have carried over, and I guarantee you that the New York media would have asked those questions to the White Sox players and their manager this weekend, as the White Sox are taking on the Yankees in the Bronx at the new Yankee Stadium. The magnifying glass would have been that much higher, but since the Sox won on Wednesday, it looks like things are cooled down just a bit. As we all know, Lakeena, winning doesn't cure everything; it just covers it up. When you lose, everything's out in the open. I just strongly disagree that Tony La Russa, the way he handled it. You handle that stuff behind closed doors, and whatever happens after that happens. I think he just want to flaunt his credentials, and he has great credentials. Why not? He's in the Hall of Fame for a reason. But to go into your ego and flaunt your attitude, you know everything better than anybody else, and you're trying to make an example out of your man Mercedes, calling him clueless and trying to belittle him in public. I thought it was just uncalled for. Now, if Yermin Mercedes, after he hit that home run on Monday, if he gave the middle finger or did the Randy Moss back in 2003, pretend to pull his pants down, something like that, then as a fan, I would have loved it. But in hindsight, I would have had a problem with that. Just hit your home run and go on. But that didn't happen. Yermin Mercedes hit a 3-0 fastball. And I heard, before I give it back to you, I heard some people say when position player pitches for that team, they waving the white flag, which is true. But to the opposing team, it's not my job to help you out, okay? So I'm your main Mercedes wearing the White Sox uniform. My job is to help my team win. It's not my job to help out the Twins win. It was embarrassing that you got your ass kicked, okay? Yeah, you could be upset at him thinking that they rubbed it in, okay? But last time I checked, the ball game was not over. You still played to win. It's not my job to help the Twins out, okay? You suck this year, okay? Yermin Mercedes did what he was supposed to do. Okay, if the story was true that he missed the take sign, then shame on Mercedes, okay? But the game was not over yet. And what bothers me, especially in professional sports, period, people, the players and sometimes coaches too, want to talk all this junk and thinking that they're gangster and all that, taking it to Twitter, taking it to Instagram, taking it to Facebook, talking crap in front of the media after it already happened. You still mad. Where's the attitude 2 hours ago? Where's the attitude 3 hours ago? If you had put your energies in more positive things, maybe you wouldn't be in the Sox that night, Twins. But you talk sour grapes, shame on you. I have no apologies for you. If you're the White Sox, don't apologize for what you did. The Twins, you suck. Where was that anger 2 hours ago? You could have put that into your offense and maybe you would have beaten the Sox. But no, you want to get mad afterwards. Getting mad afterwards is not going to do a damn thing for that day, okay? I'm wearing the White Sox uniform. I'm helping my team win the game on that day. It's not my job to help you out, especially if you have your position player and you waving the white flag. What am I supposed to help you out and soften the blow? No, the game is not over. Shame on the Twins for what they did. And their announcer who had a problem with it, yeah, he has the right to opinion. I have a right to mine too. Go jump in the lake and die.
I'm gonna jump in here because I'm gonna jump in here because you've been going on for about 5 minutes. And look, I'll start with this. I mean, the most important thing is that the Sox have one of the best records in the league. if that wasn't the case, I mean, this would be dominating all over the place. And actually, it actually already has dominated all over the place. Now, again, I mean, look, if Mercedes look, I kind of tuned out from the game because the game was a blowout. So I just like, you know what, I didn't learn about it until I saw it on Twitter. People were like going crazy. We saw some of our Sox friends, you know, Janice and James, you know, they've, you know, who we've had on the show. I was like, huh? And then I saw the replay. I'm like, oh, that's what happened. And then we all saw the Russo's comments. We read his quotes afterwards. I mean, look, he's old school. We know this when he got the job. This is why I was very concerned with him getting the job, is because you have this old school guy, you know, teaching a bunch of, I don't want to say misfits because they're not, but you know, about young guys that play the game differently and stuff. Now, after what Mercedes did, and look, you do that stuff behind closed doors. You don't. You know, you don't like say, look, I'm going to punish him and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, if you saw Mercedes' Instagram, he scrubbed it. So, you know, read into it however you want in that sense. But I mean, look, for me, I think, they're just lucky. Look, the White Sox are lucky that they got the best record in the league right now, because if not, this would be the dominant headline everywhere, and it has. It was sort of a local story for a couple of days, and it kind of blew nationally. You saw the guys in Get Up talking about. We saw the guys with Keyshawn, Jay-Z, and Zubin. You know, Alan Hahn filled in for Zubin, talking about it on their radio show. It's just crazy how this is how the White Sox get headlines for something that's being done, you know, some, you know, tomfoolery off the field. I mean, it's just crazy. So look, for me, here's what I say with this. I mean, look, the Twins should have been, you know, not been upset about it, you know, not through a conniption, through a fit, however you want to say it. They never should have done that. Now, as for, you know, when Mercedes did, I mean, look, Mercedes just stick to doing what he's doing. He should just be himself, you know, be you, as Matt Nagy would say, from the Bears would say, and just, you know, go all out. And look, I think La Russa should just, we'll see what happens with him, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of growing sentiment that maybe he should be gone. Especially, look, things like
that's not going to happen, folks.
But even still, though, this stuff can only go two ways. This will motivate the White Sox team and just, you know, look, let's win at all costs, inspire their manager. We've seen it happen. I mean, you could probably say the Cubs did with Joe Madden, you know, a few years ago, and then some other instances in other sports. But if they do end up sticking up the place, said, look, I don't want to play for this dope, and just let their play kind of like go to crap. That's going to be a problem. So it could go two different ways. Now, luckily they won on Thursday. You know, luckily they did that, because if they had lost, then that would have been a big story on yesterday. Now they've got a pretty tough series against the Yankees, who are kind of starting to kind of, you know, bubble up a little bit. They're trying to, you know, getting their thing going. So I don't know. I mean, this is not going to go away, this controversy, whether the Sox, whether Jerry Reinsdorf or Rick Hahn, whether they like it or not. This is going to be around for a while.
You're listening to the weekend edition of Second City Sports along with Lakeena McGee. I am Sidney Brown. We talk Chicago baseball, in particular the Chicago White Sox and their quote-unquote controversy with Tony La Russa. Lakeena, I heard some people say throughout the last 24 hours or so that where was Jerry Reinsdorf, where was Kenny Williams, where was Rick Hahn? I get where people are coming from with that, but I don't need them to speak up right now. That's why you have a manager for. Now, if it gets out, if the manager, i.e. in this case, Tony La Russa, now this happens again, he does the same thing again, and it gets worse, then yes, Grandpa Jerry Reinsdorf should come down and talk to him. But I don't need those three gentlemen coming down right now. I don't. Now, if this happens again and it gets worse, then yes. But right now, I don't need to hear from any of those three gentlemen, in particular Reinsdorf.
If it starts affecting the play on the field, then I can probably see that happening. But right now, I think they should just let it die down. And, you know, even though people are going to still talk about it, they just let the controversy die down. So else is going to do something stupid, and people will start paying attention to that, because that's just how attention spans are now. So I'm not going to dwell on that. But let's talk about the on the field now for the White Sox real quick. Look, the White Sox are 2 out of 3 from the Twins. I mean, look, despite like everything, and like I said before, they got a tough series against the Yankees this weekend, so we'll see how they do. We'll see how they measure up to the Yankees. But I mean, look, the pitching. Look, Giolito. I think, thank goodness, Giolito did his thing on Thursday, because that would have been a big problem, because the Twins actually had their chances in that Thursday game, in that rubber match. So
Wednesday.
yeah, on Wednesday. Oh yeah, they were off yesterday. My bad. All the days are sort of like are gobbled up now. It's crazy. But yeah, on Wednesday, they thankfully Giolito pitched the gem, because if not, we would have had a problem. We would have had a different conversation. Today, Sid, but they did. The White Sox won it. They got 2 out of 3. We'll see how they do against the Yankees, and I think, look, you're still in first place. The Cleveland's still like nipping at your heels a little bit, but I think that if you're, other than all the tomfoolery that's going on off the field, I think you should be feeling pretty good if you're a White Sox fan right now.
Yes, in the starting pitching, as we talked about before, that's the way that the White Sox are going to win, especially given the injury history of this ball club right now. Of course, Dallas Keuchel had a great game on Monday doing that 16-4 rout of the Twins. Of course, Giolito came back on Wednesday and held it down. Even though the Sox barely squeaked across 2 runs, the starting pitching was tremendous. And that was clearly Giolito's best personal performance of the season. In innings pitched with 8 in a season high, in strikeouts with 11. Like you said, I was ready to ask a different question about Giolito, but I'm going to hold it for now, so I'm not going to give it away. And hopefully I won't have to ask that question, so I'll leave it there for you guys to ponder. Now, as far as offensively, it was a great outburst on Monday night for the Sox. And you're starting to see unsung heroes come through, like Larry Garcia, not Larry Garcia, Danny Mendick, who had a home run during that series. I think it was a grand slam to be exact during Monday's route. And Adam Eaton has been coming through ever since he returned to the lineup. So it's those guys that you don't hear from. They're not superstars. They need to contribute. You saw that during this series against the White Sox. Now, their bullpen, Aaron Bummer, who, I've been high on for the last couple of years, he's been kind of disappointing. Liam Hendricks, one day I want to wring his neck. And then at times I want to give him a clap. Tuesday's game was inexcusable. The White Sox should have stole that one. But Hendricks came back on Wednesday and shut it down for a save. So hopefully Hendricks can stay consistent and he'll be fine. Aaron Bummer, I'm worried about. The other relievers, Evan Marshall, it looks like he's starting to turn around. Hopefully. Matt Foster's been pretty impressive, so I like what I'm seeing from him. It looks like the bullpen's starting to turn around a little bit, but I just need them to be more consistent. The offense is going to do what they're going to do, but the middle relief is what I'm worried about right now.
Well, I said it when we had our White Sox preview. I think that's going to be the wild card, that middle relief for the White Sox. And they've been up and down. And look, you're going to be facing a Yankees team that's actually been playing hitting the ball pretty good lately. So don't be surprised if we see some of these 11-10s or 9-10-9 games or 9-8 games or whatever. That should, that'll be a nice little offensive showcase there for both teams. But look, I said it before, I think, look, if you can get the middle relief together, I think maybe you can look that back end also to that rotation too. I mean, we don't really know. I mean, Rodon has struggled a little bit lately, so I don't know what to think about him at this point of the season. But like I said, I mean, we'll see. I mean, look, I think the talent is there for the White Sox, and despite everything that's been going on off the field, we'll see how they respond. And I think that's what, if you want to be a championship team, adversity, how you respond to it, that's going to be the thing.
Yes, it's definitely going to be the thing. As we said before, they're playing the Yankees this weekend in the Bronx as we speak. We'll give you our Cisco and Ebro review of the series coming up on our next episode on Tuesday. But I'm not going to say this is the biggest series of the year, Lakeena. I think we talked about this in our last episode. It's not the biggest series of the year, but it's an important series. If you take at least 2 out of 3 from the Bronx Bombers, the confidence should go up even higher. I know we're missing Corey Kluber for this series. Congratulations to him for pitching no-hitter on Wednesday at Texas at Globe Light Park. but we're going to face Garrett Cole in this series, and he's been their best pitcher, as we told you guys before. So goes Garrett Cole, so goes that starting rotation for the Yankees. If he goes down, they're up the creek, okay? So we'll see what the Sox can do against him. But if you take 2 out of 3 for the Yankees, like as you mentioned, Lakeena, they started to turn it around. It should do a whole lot of wonders for this White Sox team.
We'll see what happens. It should be a fun series. So, and I think one of them is getting the national TV treatment, if I'm not mistaken. I'll look it up for.
Is it?
I think so. Let me see. I mean, but yeah, I think like you got two of the best teams in the AL, or 2 of the best teams in the AL, going at it. I mean, I think this is going to be this is going to be a very interesting series, no doubt. And like I said before, I mean, you're going to see, no, I'm kind of surprised, but okay. But, kind of surprised it's not getting the national TV treatment, but it's okay. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be the top story among all of baseball for the next, this next few days. So we'll see what happens. Now let's go to the north sides for a second. Cubs take 3 out of 4 from Washington. They could have swept, but Matt Scherzer outdueled Jake Arrieta in their pitchers duel on Tuesday. But look, they win 3 out of 4. They're batting. Matt Duffy. Was kind of showing you one of those young Cubs that I know a lot of fans there have relied on. And look, he's been doing his thing. And that's the Cubs are doing all this in spite of having some of their injuries to get some of those guys back. But look, Contreras had a homer off Lester, during that homecoming. They kind of they had their tributes, but again, you can tell that they really wanted to win this game. He and Jason Hayward and Javi both all hit home runs off of Lester, and the rest is actually ended up being a very good series. David Martinez almost lost it in a couple of those games. So
try to pull Ozzie again.
I know, it's just crazy.
I forgot who else pulled out the first. Oh, it was
that
Lou Piniella for back in the day, I believe.
Years ago. So that totally lost it there. But look, I think if you're the Cubs, you're in a good spot right now. You have the Cardinals; they've been playing a little bit better lately. But if you can win 2 out of 3 in that series, I think you might be in it in National League Central. No one's pulling away from that division. So I think the pitching, it's been up and down, but look, the middle relief has been not too bad. So again,
it was actually good this series against the Nationals.
Right.
And
so
Craig Kimball's been doing his thing as well. So you take a look at this Cubs team. They did what they had to do against the mediocre team of the Nationals. I did watch that John Lester game from Monday from beginning to end. It was a very good game. The Cubs took advantage of a couple of his mistakes, and I'm glad that some of your big guys are starting to come through, like Javi Baez and Anthony Rizzo. Chris Bryant, not so much, but he had other stars that you mentioned. Matt Duffy, I forgot to mention him in our last episode. Where has he come from? Now he's going to be that much more important because Jason Hayward is currently on the injured list. So you need him to come through. Ian Happ, he had a big home run on Thursday in that series finale against the Nationals. You need those guys to come through, and you get this from this Cubs team right now. You mentioned the middle relief. It's been tremendous over this past week or so. Now you're facing a big test at St. Louis on the road. I think it's the first time they played each other this year, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so I know they're getting the national treatment tonight on Fox at 6:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. Right, everybody else, I believe, is getting I forgot who else is. I think it's Boston and Philly. I don't have the schedule. Boston and Philly, while you West Coasters will get San Francisco and the LA Dodgers. I'll be watching that one live via my computer. So it should be a great night for baseball tonight as Fox Saturday Baseball makes its debut in prime time tonight. But getting back to the north side, as you mentioned, they're hanging around 500. No one's going to run away with this division. You thought St. Louis might have a chance to create some breathing room. Maybe they will this weekend, but right now, they've been up and down too. And this will be a good opportunity for the Cubs to take 2 out of 3. Can they do it? We shall see. But this will be their biggest test of the year up to this point, given all their struggles.
Yeah, I think if you're a Cubs fan, you're surprised in spite of everything that's been happening with all the injuries and such. So, I mean, look, they were 1 game over 500 as this recording. So I think, look, if you're in a good spot if you're the Cubs right now. Now, hopefully, you can take advantage. And look, the Cardinals, like I said, they're not world beaters. So let's, you can play them, and it's going to be very interesting this weekend. No doubt about it.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. It's, like I said, it's the biggest series for them up to this point for the year. We saw what they did against the Dodgers about a couple of weeks ago, and we saw what they've done against bad teams with Detroit and Washington, going 5-2 in their last 7 games. After you face St. Louis on the road, you go to Pittsburgh for 3 games next week, and then you come home next weekend for a Memorial Day weekend series against Cincinnati for 3. And then the San Diego Padres come to town for a big 3-game series starting on Monday, Memorial Day in the afternoon. So the Cubs have a chance to pile up some wins right here, including this weekend series against the Cardinals. So they can make hay right here. If they can, they'll look better than what most people expect, even though with some of their pieces missing due to injuries right now.
And you got to commend David Ross for the great managerial job he's done to kind of keep things sort of like level despite everything, with the injuries and now with the vaccine issues. We won't get into that, but, we should definitely commend him for keeping kind of everybody sort of like level-headed and, let your frustrations out on the field.
Yep.
All right, so what are the other than Corey Kluber's no hitter? That's what, 7. We're counting 7 because we're counting that Baumgartner no hitter, even though it was a 7-inning double header. We're still gonna count that. That's the most. That's the most since like 19.
Don't forget about the Detroit Tigers. They threw a no hitter too.
Yeah, they did like a team no hitter, which is so if you're playing Seattle, if you're playing Cleveland or Texas. Maybe get your best pitcher out there. Maybe they can get a no hitter. I don't know, but that seems to be like the thing. But some people are asking, is the no hitter kind of like lessen its value just because it seems like it's been happening so frequently?
I don't think so. It's still a rare feat. Not everybody can do that. I was going to ask you that. I see where people are coming from as far as has lost his luster, but I think is due to the approach of the hitters, with these launch angles and all these other different kind of things. And some people say that the pitcher's mound should be tampered with and moved back again. It's like, really? But, it's just one of those things. Baseball's a funny game. You can't really explain it sometimes. So I get the fact that people still want to change things, even if it's in their favor. I can't give you a clear-cut answer. I'm trying to come up with one right now. Can you?
Oh no, that's why I asked you. I was hoping you would come up with that answer. Because I think the no-hitter is still a very special thing. It's still rare that it's still there's been 7, but it's still very rare for a no-hitter to take place. So I think that all these pitchers should be commended. And look, the hitters and the approaches. I mean, I just. Look, I think it hasn't lost its luster. Like, I know some people feel otherwise, but I still think it's a great feat. So if you have that in your resume, look, you had a pretty good pitching. You did a pretty good pitching job that time. I mean.
Yeah. Congrats to Spencer Turnbull. That was the Detroit starter pitcher's name from Tuesday. He pitched a no-hitter for the Detroit Tigers. Their first as a franchise since Justin Verlander did it at Toronto in 2011. So congratulations to him.
Also, too, Kluber's no hitter. I think that was the first Yankees no hitter on the road since like the 1930s or 1938 or something like that. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, in the first one since David Cohn's perfect game against the Montreal Expos, now the Washington Nationals back in July of '99. I remember watching that game live on TV, and it was a special moment for Cohn. Now he's a broadcaster for the Yankees for the Yes Network. So, congratulations to those two gentlemen for their accomplishments this week. Anything else stand out to you from the world of baseball from this past week?
The West, the National League West, it's going to be a dogfight. The Giants have won 5 in a row. They scored 19 runs on Thursday.
They're not going away.
No, they're not. So, sorry. So, for all you folks that thought they were going to go away, it doesn't look like they're going to. The Padres have won 6 in a row. As it's recording, also the Dodgers have won 4 in a row. There's like a 2-game, there's just 2 games to separate the 3 teams. So, it looks like it's going to be a dogfight in the National League West.
Yeah, and on the flip side, the Arizona Diamondbacks being swept by the Dodgers. You thought they would make hay this year, maybe they will, but right now they're not up to the Dodgers' caliber. They had a couple of chances in that series to take a game or two, and it just didn't happen. I'm really looking forward to that weekend series, as I mentioned before, with the Dodgers and Giants. Of course, those are the two rivals going back to their days in New York City on the East Coast. So the Giants, they won the World Series about 3 times in the last decade. Of course, the Dodgers are the defending champions now. So there's always been the bitter hatred in respect to those two franchises. So this first series is in San Francisco this weekend. I'll watch just about every minute of it this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Also for me, the AL East, I should say, there's a 2.5 game gap between the Red Sox, Rays, Yankees, and Blue Jays. I know the Blue Jays have lost a couple in a row, but I think they're still going to be like right there. So I'm a really big believer in that Blue Jays team. Their pitching still needs a little bit of work, but their hitting has been phenomenal. So they host Tampa Bay and they're not in Toronto, obviously, but it looks like this is sort of the way to kind of make gain some ground and get a little headway here. So that should be a fun series this weekend in the AL East.
Yeah, speaking of Tampa Bay, look at all the talent they traded and lost throughout the offseason after losing to the Dodgers in the World Series last year in the bubble. They still competitive up there, as you mentioned. I saw a couple of their games against the Baltimore Orioles earlier this week. They took care of business against a bad team. This series, and I know not too many people are talking about it, but this should be a fun, exciting series as well. Hopefully some good baseball will come out of it.
This should be a fun
Shout out
series.
To manager Kevin Cash.
Yeah, I know. He's starting to try to redeem himself after what happened in the World Series, but
yeah,
Braves fans are still mad at him about that. But look,
as well as they should be.
They've won 7 in a row as of this recording, so I think you gotta commend him on a great manager job he's doing there. So yeah, look, the AL West. I mean, look, the Astros, but look, the A's are right there. So it's definitely going to be between. It might be between those two. I think Seattle's starting to fall off a little bit. They lost 3 in a row. They got swept, but. I think the West, both NL and AL West divisions are going to be really deep here.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more. There's a couple other series that are taking place this weekend, interleague style. The Seattle Mariners, as you mentioned, they'll travel to San Diego to take on the Padres. And then you'll have the Beltway series, the Battle of D.C. Both teams under 500, but these play competitive games. It's the Baltimore Orioles and the Washington Nationals. Both teams are coming off embarrassing series losses, and so we'll see who gets the edge in the Beltway series this weekend.
All right, so you listen to Second City Sports Zoom style along with Cindy Brown. I'm Lakeena McGee. Let's go to the hardwood, Sid. The playing games took place, and
did they?
Did they really? There were some good ones. I mean, look, the Warriors, Lakers, playing was a classic. Was back and forth, whether, people thought that LeBron overreacted didn't even hit his head in the court and everybody, got mad, but he
did.
Well, yeah, but, he shot a 3-pointer over Steph, so to clinch that with about 45 seconds left. So now they're a 7 seed. They play Phoenix. Yay. I'm sure Suns fans are probably already going crazy. On Thursday, Washington just hammered Indiana 142-115 to become the 8th seed. And look, it's interesting because, Russell Westbrook, what hasn't been said about Westbrook? I mean, that's just absurd what he's done. And also too, Bradley Beal had 25. You can tell maybe he's feeling a little bit better. That hamstring's been bothering him. Also, Daniel Gafford, who the Bulls traded to Washington, had 15 off the bench, so he's been playing a lot better. I think he's in a better system. I know people are already freaking out that, oh my God, we should have kept Gafford. He's a better fit in Washington, folks. Let's leave that alone. The Spurs Grizzlies game was very interesting. The Spurs tried to fight, but I think Ja Morant and I think the Grizzlies are ready for the playoff push. We'll see what they do against the Warriors. What did you think about the play-in, Sid?
Let's talk about the one playing game that people cared about, and that's the Warriors and Lakers from Wednesday. The Golden State Warriors came out firing on all cylinders in their first half. Steph Curry was kind of put in check, but Andrew Wiggins stepped up. The Lakers tried to keep up, but they took over in the third quarter, and the Warriors fought their way back. Steph Curry caught fire, but then at the end, as you mentioned, Lakeena, LeBron James took that hard foul from Draymond Green, getting poked in the eye. It looked like he was holding his right knee. I was like, uh-oh, the Lakers can't afford to any more injuries, especially to their star, LeBron James. The way LeBron fell, I was like, oh, the Lakers and the league is in trouble. Thank goodness he got up and he's still okay. I know he's still bothered by the ankle, but we all know that LeBron has the flair for the dramatic. He likes the attention. He loves the spotlight shining on him, and that's okay. You feed the ego, you feed the brand. We get it. You're a celebrity. You're a basketball star. We get it, okay? But as you mentioned, it turned out to be the game-winning shot over Steph Curry with just under a minute to go. That was a lucky shot. I know he said he saw 3 rims. He decided to shoot the middle one, so good for him. But overall, that game was a play-in classic, if you say. I know ESPN was very happy. They got 5.6 million viewers, the most since the 2019 Western Conference Finals between the Golden State Warriors and the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, does this mean, we talked about this before we started recording, does this mean that the play-in tournament is back next year? Me, selfishly, I hope not, because you're going to have an 82-game season next year going back to normal, and you give these extra games away between the end of the season and the start of the playoffs for that following week. I'm sorry, I'm not for it. You give him, I know it's about money at the end of the day before people start yelling at me. I get it. But many coaches and teams are devaluing the regular season as it is. You're giving them more incentive to do it. Why would you have save yourself, quote unquote, for these extra games? And it's not even a guarantee that you're going to make it to the playoffs or not. And you're going to have more chance for injuries, including to your big stars. Look what's happening to the Lakers. I know they were hurt before this play-in tournament, but the reason why the play-in tournament because of the injuries. I know it's a shortened season this year with 72 games, but what would have happened if LeBron James was seriously hurt himself the other night if you didn't have the play-in tournament? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Look, I think it's all about money at the end of the day with the NBA. And I think, look, we'll see if he decides, like, he has not, I heard him in an interview on Friday with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Alan Hahn. He didn't really commit to, perhaps maybe bringing back the play-in, but he did not rule it out. So again, I'm sure like the Players Association will probably have something to say about it. The owners will have something to say about it. The coaches will probably have something to say about it. So they might keep it in some form, maybe just do one play-in and then maybe just, see, maybe have like the 8 or 9, play it out, have they come in and let that team, whoever wins, let them be the 8th seed. I don't know. But look, I think it's kind of added a little bit of value, and I think it added a little bit of, incentive, to the play-in. And look, I mean, we'll see. I mean, look, you ended up having a great game between the Warriors and the Lakers, probably a classic. And look, I know some of the other ones were, were terrible, but look, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I think that's sort of like the chances you take. I mean, you're probably going to get a team that, can't come out of nowhere like Memphis, or you're going to have, a team that totally stinks it up. So, which unfortunately that happens. But look, I think we'll see. I mean, look, at this point, I think I wouldn't be surprised if they do keep some form of the play-ins, but you never know.
I wouldn't be surprised either, even though I wouldn't be for it. But you just brought up a good point about if they should bring some form of the play-in tournament for next season, since we'll get back to a normal 82-game schedule. If the 9th seed will play the 8th seed at the end of the year, Lakeena, for one game, I'm for it, which makes sense. And you still give them a couple of days to prepare for the playoffs, because the playoffs usually start that following weekend and the regular season ends on that Sunday or Monday. Okay. So you keep the current format like you have it now, it's not going to work. Now, if you make it one game, whoever's that 8th seed or the 9th seed, you make that one game, I'm all for it. It makes sense. You have whoever's up first, the Eastern Conference game for that Tuesday, and then the Western Conference game for that Wednesday. You're good. You still have those teams will still have a few days to prepare if they had to travel, which most of them will. They could travel to that site to get ready for their first round number 1 seed opponent. But if you have these games every single night to get to the playoffs, it devalues it. I'm sorry. But if you have I like your idea. One game each conference, whoever's the ninth seed, whoever's the eighth seed, you have one game. That's it. You go home. Now, if they do that, okay. But if they don't, you get rid of it.
That's probably what the direction they're probably gonna go in that direction. I think they're gonna do the whole okay, well, 8 or 9, let them play it out. The winner gets the 1 seed, and boom, there you go. I mean, I think that's probably one game. That's it. Do like they do with the first 4, and then NCAA tournament. Do it that way. That I think that's probably the best way for them to do it, and I think that's probably a good compromise. I think.
Yeah, hopefully some better and bigger heads will prevail between the commissioner, Adam Silver, and everybody else who's involved in those decisions. And I will say this, even though all ideas are not great ideas, the NBA is progressive. We're not talking about just socially and all that off the court, but on the court and trying to improve the game. I will give them credit for this. At least they're forward thinkers, and they see the forest from the trees, unlike other sports, hockey, baseball.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, it'll be interesting to see what they do. Again, we're going to talk about, the NBA and preview the playoffs, and probably do a little Bull season review coming up in a couple of minutes. But real quick, though, I want to, talk about a couple of games because we're not going to have time to do it after we do our roundtable. But the PGA Championship is going on right now in Kiowa Island in South Carolina. Phil Mickelson, as it's recording, is the leader right now, and it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of stay there. This will be his 3rd PGA Championship. So I like the fact that they're doing it this year. They're doing it in mid-May so that people will probably care about the PGA Championship, because by the time August comes around, no one really cares about it because everyone's concentrating on football and baseball is going down to the wire too. So no one really cares about that. So I think having it this year, in May, you get 4 majors in 4 months. So if you're a golf fan, so this is great. So
yeah.
Well,
hockey, baseball, get the idea, change things up a little bit, have some common sense.
Well, real quick though,
I digress.
Well, real quick though, let's talk a little about the hockey playoffs really fast. What's impressed you so far?
I'll be honest with you, Lakeena, only seen 2 live minutes of hockey playoffs. Shout out to the best series so far, Tampa Bay and Florida. Yes. I know it's tied up 2-2 as of this recording. Shout out Coach Joe Quenneville of Florida. But I want to send a get well soon to John Tavares for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He got hit in the elbow. Sorry, he got hit in the head, I should say, on Thursday night as the Montreal Canadiens and Toronto Maple Leafs, they opened up their first round series. It was ugly. It didn't look that bad on replay, but he had to be carried down on the stretcher. I'm sure it was for precautionary reasons, but hopefully he's okay. If he's able to play later on this series, so be it. If not, regardless, hopefully he gets well soon. It was pretty scary.
It was. Montreal's up 1-0. They won that game. So hopefully get well soon, John Tavares. That reminded me of the Duck and Keith when he got hit in the face with the puck and got most of his front teeth knocked out. So it was just I didn't want to see the replay.
Yeah, one more quick thing before we break. Did you check out NBC's new scoreboard bug?
Yes, I did.
I like the previous one they had, but I was like, why didn't they kind of debut that maybe a year ago or so?
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
That's true. But save it for the
Olympics.
You're
TNT or ESPN, take some form of it next season when you start your coverage. Just saying.
Save it for the Olympics, I guess. And we'll talk about this at the Olympics though too at another time. But right now, we got to take a really quick break. We're gonna be all NBA. We're gonna have an NBA roundtable with some of your favorites. Allana Tachauer, Josh Hicks, and also Dave Watson, Big Dave Watson will all be joining us. We'll talk about some of the finalists for the NBA postseason awards. Season awards came out on Thursday. Some people maybe should not have made the list. So some people did, but we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll also preview the NBA playoffs. We'll start today. And that might be going on right now as we speak. Also, too, maybe we have time. We'll talk a little bit of Bulls too. So stay right there, folks. You're listening to Second Stage Sports along with Cindy Brown. I'm Lakeena McGee.
Welcome to our 2020-21 NBA Playoff Preview Show, presented to you by Second City Sports and WARR Media, along with Miss Lakeena McGee. I am Sydney Brown. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80.
And you can follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan_McGee on the IG.
You can follow this podcast, Second City Sports, on right here on YouTube at WARR Media. Once again, at WARR Media. Videos drop every Monday and every Friday. Once again, every Monday and Friday, videos drop right here on YouTube at WARR Media. You can listen to our podcast version of this program at WARR on Anchor that drops every Tuesday and every Saturday. Once again, every Tuesday and Saturday for the audio version at WARR on Anchor. We're available on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. Just type in that search engine box, WARR on Anchor. You can go to our website, weareregalradio.com, and you can follow us on all social media platforms, including right here on YouTube at WARR Media. Once again, at WARR Media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Yes, sir. There you go.
All right, let's introduce our panel to you for our playoff preview show. First up, he is our senior columnist and our teammate right here at WARR Media. He writes everything basketball and all the sorts of other sports issues. He's the prodigy. He is Mr. Joshua M. Hicks. Josh, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me back, Sid. Glad to be back on. Hope everyone's doing well.
All right. Next up, he is the co-host of the Bulls Outcasts podcast right here on YouTube with our good friend, Mr. Matt Peck and John Sabine. And he's the host of the Bawl. I hope I got that right.
There you go.
On Bulls podcast, part of the Bawl on Sports Network. He is our good friend and great man, Mr. Dave Watson. Dave, how's it going?
Love, brother. How you feel, man? Everything's good. Lakeena, how are you?
Good.
Prodigy Josh, how are you? I'm not going to say the next name because I'm going to let that introduction speak for itself. But yeah, it's beautiful, man. What's up?
Oh, my gosh.
Did I get it right this time, Dave?
Oh, you hit it with your chest, bro. Hey, it was all from your soul. It was right in your chest. Like, I could hear the yams and the macaroni and cheese in it. It was on point, brother. Like, you did it. You can hear all that in there, man.
There it
like,
is.
Yeah,
there it is.
Much love. Good job.
There it is. There it is. And last but definitely not least, she is a Miami Heat fan from Chicago. The only Miami Heat fan from Chicago. No shade. She's the number one and only Miami Heat fan from Chicago. She is the first lady of 5 Reasons Sports Network. You catch her work there. She's the one and only, the lovely Allana Tachauer. Allana, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. Playoffs are about to begin, so I'm hyped.
We
are hyped this week. Yeah,
we know. Yeah.
One day you guys will know how that feels again. I have faith.
Before we preview the playoffs, let's talk about the Chicago Bulls quickly. I do mean quickly. They finished their 2021 season at 31-41, but there's hope on the horizon. Of course, Nikolai Vujicic was traded for at the trade deadline. Zach LaVine missed a bunch of games toward the end of the season. That's one of the many reasons why they didn't qualify for the play-in tournament. But this Bulls management team of Arturas Karnisovas and GM Mark Eversley, they have work to do this summer. Will they get that quote-unquote number 4 pick from the Orlando Magic as part of their Vujicic trade? We'll see about that. Will they get that point guard via the draft or via Lonzo Ball or somebody else that we're not talking about? And we'll discuss those issues and a whole lot more. Lakeena, let's kick it off.
All right.
What did you think about Billy Donovan's coaching job this year?
Like we've been talking about it for last week, Sid. I give him a solid B. I mean, look, considering how he came on, AK basically said, look, you're going to be our next coach. I'm not going to let you go until you agree to be our next coach. So, but he saw the roster. Like, he got rid of some guys. He got rid of Wendell. He got rid of Gafford. I know that was Dave's guy, but he's in a better place now. He's in a better place spot though with Washington. But look, I just hope that, I don't need to, like we said, I don't need to hear, constantly be, told like, okay, what they're doing. Look, just do it. If we get the top 4 pick from Orlando, great. If we don't, that's fine. There are other ways they can build up. I think that the untouchables are Zach, Vooch, I'll say White. I'll say Kobe White too, and hopefully we can get a couple other guys. Hope we can get Tice. Hope we can get Brown Jr. I mean, I really hope that. Look, I think the sky is the limit for this Bulls team right now. I know people are a little, kind of felt a little bad because they didn't, go through expectations. But I think I think the future is bright for the Bulls. I really do.
Josh?
We have somewhat of hope, right? That's
Yes.
pretty much the biggest thing about this past season was the fact that in previous regimes, you knew there was absolutely no type of hope coming your way as far as what the Bulls are going to look like. Now, the fact that we saw the aggressiveness from Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley making that big trade for Nikola Vucevic, the fact that they pretty much knew from the first half of the season, okay, we have to make some type of change for this thing to work. And they actually was aggressive enough to make those type of changes. And not just from that perspective, from an action perspective, from a coaching perspective, from a culture perspective. It's you can tell that the Bulls are slowly but surely moving in the right direction. So there's a sign of hope. But that's the big problem, right? The offseason, there's so many holes that have to be filled throughout this offseason. Where are you going to get those holes to be filled from with limited cap space, right? That's the biggest thing. I talked with Rob Schaefer recently on my In the Scope podcast, which comes out later today as we're recording this. So please check that out. It is actually available on YouTube. But we talked about, pretty much how you, like Lakeena mentioned, you have untouchables that are already currently on the team. You got Kobe White, you got Zach LaVine, you have Vucevic, you have Troy Brown, you have Patrick Williams, all because for the most part, they're all guaranteed contracts.
Yeah.
Everybody else is question marks. You have partial guaranteed contracts between Thaddeus Young and Thomas Satoransky. Outside of that, everybody's either restricted or restricted free agents that you can let go this offseason. Not to mention, you don't know what you're going to do with Larry Markkinen because he's a restricted free agent. And you have some people that, if you want to take the cap space that you got to make, I love you, Lakeena. The fact that you got to make, the fact that you got to make certain cap space, if you want to have a certain amount of cap space, you got to let go of probably Thomas Satoransky and Thaddeus Young, who played a huge role this season and not just well received by, the front office and the coaching staff, but by the players as well. Thaddeus Young was spoken of as the big brother of the locker room, according to Zach LaVine, right? So you have all these different components you have to worry about bringing back, especially since you didn't trade Larry Markkinen when you could have. Or you could have traded Thaddeus Young if you really wanted to and got a huge haul back to prepare for an offseason, or if you want to go after a big superstar, or you want to go fulfill these voids like Lonzo Ball in a point guard position, or bring in another superstar, you would have had those assets. You don't have those things now. Plus, you have limited cap space. So I'm interested to see what the offseason is going to bring because as of right now, there's a lot more questions than answers.
Yeah. Allana?
Dave? Oh, sorry.
Oh, ladies first, please.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll keep it short and sweet because I'll be honest, I've not been following the Bulls as closely as I could have. But I will say this offseason, I think is going to be super interesting for this team. And I think it might be the most interesting in quite some time. I was pretty surprised that y'all held on to Lauri as long as you did. I was definitely expecting him to be moved. So I'm curious to see what happens there. I think that Zach LaVine is locked in. I think he really loves this team. I think he is all in on building up with this organization, which I think is great and was kind of a question mark, at least to me, when he first got there. So there is hope on the horizon, and I think that fans should be excited. Kobe White has been super exciting. I mean, the little that I've watched, I've been very excited to see him play. So I do think that there's definitely hope in the future. And I think that getting rid of the former front office was definitely the right move. And you guys can kind of only go up from here. And also, I hate to say this, it was a weird season for everybody. I think every team performed completely unexpected. I mean, not to bring in the heat right now, but like the fact that we almost had to be in the play-in after making the finals, like that's crazy. So considering the season, the Bulls could have been in a way worse spot.
Dave.
Let that heat plug in real smooth. Let me tell you, real smooth, man. Real smooth.
That's why we love her.
That was almost as smooth as Josh shining in that plug for his show. That was real smooth. You know what I mean? Y'all too smooth out here. I like it. I'm digging it. I think for this season, what's great is you have something what's called logical hope. And I'm a man of faith, okay? And there are a lot of people who aren't. So I can believe in things that aren't seen and just believe they're going to get there and, they're going to work out and stuff like that. Other people need facts and figures and numbers to have that kind of thing. That's the beauty of this, because it kind of combines all of that. They have shown you in the past exactly how good AK is. You've seen his Denver team. You know how good he is. And then he comes in here and he does every single thing that he said he was going to do. Every single thing, he's done it so far. And then when he tells you we're not settling for mediocrity anymore, we're trying to be in the playoffs, he tells you what he wants to do. So going forward, that's allowed to give you that hope, because you've seen what he's done. He's given you the proof. So now you can have faith in him. So you now have logical hope for this team. And it's beautiful to see. I think everything you guys said is definitely on point. I thought Larry was going to be gone too. I thought they were going to have a point guard here, but it didn't happen. New Orleans wanted way too much for Lonzo Ball. Bulls like, we'll take our chances in the offseason. We'll see. Thad Young, I don't know why people were like, he's untradeable. Like, okay, because he got a cool nickname and stuff. All right, that's nice. But he can go too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But obviously he was Zach's best friend, and Zach loved him, and they were trying to make the playoffs. All right, that makes sense to me. So on paper, it's like, what are they going to do? How are they going to do it? But the one thing I've seen AK do is he's always the right hand never knows what the left hand is doing with him. You know what I mean? So you might think, even getting Billy Donovan, his name wasn't mentioned. You know what I'm saying? As far as the Bulls, nobody said that it was going to come here, but he's here. Even with his front office, it was a bunch of people mentioned that nobody was even thinking about. And then he went and got those guys. Even with the trade with Vucevic, he wasn't even mentioned. He wasn't being talked about. And then all of a sudden, they're like, what are the Bulls going to do? How are they going to make a trade? And then we go get 2 trash bags off our team and Wendell and Lionel Richie, and we get them dudes off our squad. And then we come in here and we get Vooch, and we're okay now. You know what I mean? So they're always doing something that nobody is seeing. They're very behind the scenes. They're very low key with what they're doing. And I love that about them. So that's why I don't have a real worry or a real concern, because if they don't want to do it the way that everybody is thinking they should do it, I'm okay with that, because they're telling you, no, we have a plan. We know what we want to do, and we're going to do that. And you all are going to love it. So I'm just going to have that kind of faith, and I'm going to have that kind of hope in them, man. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm happy. Everything's going to be all right for me.
Sid?
I'm excited too. I'm joining Big Dave in that ship as well as SHIP. As we had you on last time, Dave. We talked about the future of this franchise. I'm really hopeful about it. You can't criticize AK or Eversley too much. They've done a couple of trades so far, so we don't know how it's going to pan out. It panned out for Vucevic so far, but we'll see how he does next year. He gets a full season in, because they didn't have any practice time when he was traded over here. So yeah. I have faith that he'll acclimate himself into the system more next year. Now, where they're going to get that point guard, if it's not Lonzo Ball, I don't know. Well, they had to go to the draft if they have that number 4 pick, or they I don't know. That's the $1,000 question. Where they're going to get the point guard for this team, I don't know, but I have faith in this front office. They'll finally find a way to get it done somehow. As far as Laurie marketing, not to get personal, but I'm done with him. Lakeena, we talked about it all year long. I'm done with marketing. Nothing personal, but he's been inconsistent. He needs to go wherever you can get for him. I'm all for it. As long as he's off this roster, I'm all for it. And yeah. I know you're probably going to bring this up next, Lakeena, but Daniel Tice, as we talked about on this show before, he's the best inside presence that this Bulls team has had in the last maybe decade. Maybe since Taj Gibson. Ooh. That's really going back some years. So I'm with you, Lakeena. We talked about it before in the show. I hope he stays. What do you guys think? Do you think that Daniel Tice comes back, or do you think he's going to be overpriced to another team?
Anyone can jump in. Anyone can jump in.
Yeah.
I would like to see him come back. He's going to cost you, of course, but I think he fit in very well. I didn't see him as a starter. I thought that was more of an indictment on Lowry than anything that Tice was starting, because you're like, okay, well, we got to bring in a dude who's I've never really seen start at the 4. When he was in Boston, he was always playing the 5, and then they bring him in at the 4, and he's okay. He shoots too many threes for my liking, but that's my only complaint about him. But then he's not even the next man up. That was the next man up. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like Lowry wasn't even the next dude up. Like. And it hurts to say this because y'all know I love Lowry Markin. He was my guy. I was all in on him. But no, after this season, I was done. But yeah, I like Dice. I hope they keep him. I hope they find a way to do it. but he's going to cost you. I do know that. He's going to cost you. And we know they don't have a lot of money. They don't have a lot of wiggle room. But we'll see if they can stretch out some guys. They're getting a bunch of trash off this team this year. I mean, Felicio and Denzel Valentine and all this trash. Yes, testify on them, Josh. Testify on them, man. Oh, yes, Lord. It feels so good. So y'all don't understand. Look, you heard me on Hot Mic when that was over. You heard me. I was boy, I was overjoyed. You know, I was Stevie Wonder overjoyed. It was insane, man. I was so happy because I ain't got to look at this trash no more. Allana looked at it. She was there. She saw the trash that we had to look at.
I saw it. Even on Outsiders, we went back and forth about Denzel, and you guys, you needed to get rid of that because I don't understand how he was around as long as he was, but better late than never.
Yeah, better late than never. But we shipping it out. It's gone. Like, I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's gone. It's deceased. So that money's coming off the books. And I just trust in the guys who know they want to win and have a plan about getting there and are doing it in a way where I haven't been like, no, I don't like that move. The only move I haven't liked was getting rid of Daniel Gafford. That's the only one. Yeah. That's the only one. But Troy Brown Jr. is no scrub. You know, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at having Troy Brown Jr. He looks solid to me. So I get it. But you got Chandler Hutchinson out of here too, who was a scrub. So I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? It's all right. So if that's your only percentage, well, I'm just like, that's the only one I don't like out of all the moves you made, I'm going to trust them. So yeah, if they feel they can move and keep Tice here and probably talk him into a discount or do something like that, I'm completely with it. But yeah, whatever they want to do, I am with it. Whatever they want to do, I'm with it.
All right.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, Josh.
I mean, I'm all for Daniel Theus to be here. I mean, at the end of the day, he brought a lot of what the Bulls lacked, right? They lacked rebounding, they lacked toughness, they lacked having that dog in the paint that, you know, where you can get physical with and set the tone of what it's going to be like down there in the post. They lacked all of that. They had, and I'm with Big Dave on this one, man. They had that in Gafford. They had to let that go. So that one hurts a little bit. But overall, to get that back in Daniel Theus, that's clutch. That's what the Bulls need. And AK talked about that. He said, we got to get tougher, mentally and physically. That's part of the reason why they made that trade. So if Daniel Theus is willing to come back on that discount, or if the Bulls really do have to pay just a tad bit over the price to get him, that's good quality that you're not going to get everywhere else, and especially in this free agent market. That's true. You got to take the risk you got to take that type of risk if I was in their shoes to get to that upper level, unless you're getting a superstar. Otherwise, you're not going to get that. So I would hope that they will make that leap. And it seems like Dave mentioned earlier, you know, the low-key moves that they made, the low-key schemes that they're doing behind the scenes to make sure that their actual plan comes into fruition. Maybe this is all part of the fruition, and they're already working these things out. We just don't know about it because they're very clear of making silent moves. They move. They're G's that move in silence like lasagna, like for real.
Come on, Josh.
So because of that, hey, as long as the lasagna comes out looking good, I'm good, right?
Come on,
exactly. It's all about it's all about the final presentation. And sometimes you can get trash ingredients and make a good dish. So look, it happens. So let's talk playoffs for a little bit here, you guys. What matchup either side, either East or West, are you guys looking forward to seeing? Allana, I'll start with you. So no, I'm totally jealous. Going to be going to Milwaukee for the Miami-Milwaukee game 1. What I know that's what you're looking forward to. So elaborate, please.
Do you have an extra ticket?
Yeah, I'm saying, you have a couple extra tickets for us.
Listen. I wish I could take everyone, because honestly I would just turn everyone into Heat fans, so I'm not alone there. I'm going with a Bucks fan, so it's going to be a little bit hard for me to sit through that game, but as long as we win, I'm going to be happy. Listen, I am glad we're in the playoffs, period. I was trying to avoid that play-in like crazy just because our inconsistency, I just didn't know what to expect, and I wasn't confident that we would have made it out of the play-in. So the fact that we were just like guaranteed a spot makes me happy. The fact that we get to face the Bucks makes me even happier, though, because that matchup honestly is just like lit. Every year there's just something about playing the Bucks. Jimmy is so hungry. I don't think he got to face them at all, if I remember correctly, in this like regular season at all. So he's ready to get out there. He's super hungry. He's trying to prove himself. Obviously the whole team is, but I think for Jimmy, we came out of the bubble. We were called flukes. We barely, got into the playoffs. And now that we're back, I think he's just ready to dominate. we had a discussion kind of among the network talking about if game one is even important, if it's more kind of just getting our feet wet, if we have to come out. I think that game one is honestly probably the most important game because we have to set the tone. For better or worse, we get in our heads a lot. You saw it kind of around the trade deadline. Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero were not performing well because they were kind of, they didn't know if they were staying or going, what was going to happen. And then after that, they picked it up on both ends of the floor. So I think a lot of what we've been struggling with is just kind of a mental issue. So if we come out strong against the Bucks in game one, I think we have a good chance. I'm going to say Heat in 7, although most Heat fans are saying Heat in 5, but like I'm just treading a little carefully here. But I do think if we come out and if we can stay healthy, which has been a huge problem for us, I think that we can make it. So, I mean, obviously that's going to be my pick for the most exciting Eastern matchup.
Well, and Bam will probably not be in a very good mood because he didn't make the finals for Defensive Player of the Year. So he's probably not going to be in a very good mood.
Oh, he's going to go off on Saturday after that. I don't know if you guys saw his tweet, but he just tweeted, ha ha, after the news came out. I'm like, oh, this boy's ready to go on Saturday. So,
Josh?
Yeah, we talk about the Eastern Conference matchup. I got to go with Boston and Brooklyn. That's the one I'm going to be looking at the most. It's so many. I mean, there's so many headlines, right? You got the big three in Brooklyn. You got Kyrie returning to Boston. You have a rising Jason Tatum who went off in the playoff game, dropping that 50 piece to send a message like, "No, we're gonna be this team that's gonna get us back." The thing I'm really gonna pay attention to the most, especially for Boston, is who's gonna be that next man up, because Jaylen Brown is gone, and Jaylen Brown was that guy next to Jason Tatum that was really taking this team to the upper echelons from a score, especially from a two-way player perspective, offensively and defensively. Kemba Walker has to now be that number 2 guy. He got to step up to really take on that more leadership and offensive load. He's been inconsistent because he's been battling the injuries, things of that sort. But he seemed like he was coming back to his own, especially in that play-in game against the Wizards. So I want to see how the Boston Celtics are going to respond to a Brooklyn Nets team that is loaded with offensive talent, and not just loaded with offensive talent, but even got role players that are very talented to take them to that next level. So that's something I'm really going to be paying attention to. I think Brooklyn's going to win in 6, but that's really going to be the series, especially in the Eastern Conference, and I'm really going to be paying attention to the most.
Dave?
You know what? Real quick, let me go back. Because now I'm sitting here thinking about it. I don't think it's that crazy for Heat fans to think they were going to win in 5 because they did it, you know. Like you saw what they did to them in Eastern Conference Finals when they lost Giannis. So I understand where that's coming from. I'm
still cautious. I'm going to say 7 because this is a different Bucks team, and we have struggled. And if God forbid, you know, our health is in question again, then things get a little dicey. But I still think we can pull it off. So.
Yeah, I don't think y'all winning, but I hear you. But I hear you. I hear you. All right, I'll root for y'all one game. I'll give you one game. Can I give you one? I'll give you one.
If you give me game 1, especially because I'll be there, if we get like a good win while I'm there, I'll take it from you.
Okay, fair enough. You got it. Game 1, you got it. And I like what Josh had to say too, because that's very true. Because I think that's being underrated. And I talked about enough. What Boston will look like against just this kind of elite team, and could they actually, you know, get those kind of victories against this team going forward? Because nobody has them winning the series, but it's about how they look. You know, that's going to be very important. But for me, I think it's Philly and Washington, and it's only for 2 reasons. One is Daniel Gafford, because, you know, I love Daniel Gafford, so I want to see Daniel Gafford play. I want to see how he matches up, period. But the other one is because it has the most interesting matchup, and that's Joel Embiid versus Russell Westbrook. They do not like each other.
Right.
Period. They don't like each other. Since he was at OKC, they've had problems with each other. Remember when Embiid was waving by at them, and then Russell remembered that.
Enemies all over the league, though.
Yeah. But Russell is petty. He don't forget that stuff.
No, he doesn't.
He has those enemies, but Russell really means it. You know what I'm saying? He don't like you. And they both said, they're both on record saying they don't like each other. They don't talk to each other. They don't dig each other at all. They're not cool with each other. So I'm very interested to see them go up and go at it for hopefully 7 games. I think obviously Philly should win this series, but I just want to see how insane Russell Westbrook is, and just how crazy he'll get, and just how petty Joel Embiid is this whole series. So I'm very intrigued by that, you know, just for the drama of it. I'm very intrigued by that matchup.
I'm gonna go over to the Western Conference, the number 2 and number 7 matchup. The Phoenix Suns, they have the home court advantage against the number 7 seeded Los Angeles Lakers. Of course, the Lakers survived the play-in game against the Warriors in a classic finish the other night. The Lakers' injuries are a concern to me, in particular LeBron James, even though he did do a little acting toward the end of that game when Draymond Green knocked him down in the lane. But even though the Lakers don't have home court this year, the road to the Western Conference Finals sets up perfectly for them. They'll have to, if they should get by Phoenix, which I think they will. I think it will go 6 games. They should get rid of them in 5, but I think it will go 6. Should the Lakers advance, they'll get the winner of the Portland-Denver series, I believe, and then they should face potentially the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. So this couldn't have worked out better for the Los Angeles Lakers. Yes, I said it. The Clippers try to avoid the Lakers in the first round. They succeeded. I don't care what anybody says. The Clippers were afraid of the Lakers playing them in the first round. So good job by Tyronn Lue and the rest of the Clippers staff. So you might have given the Lakers a bigger break than the people thought. So I'm looking forward to that Phoenix Lakers matchup in the first round in the West.
Yeah, I gotta piggyback off you, Sid. I mean, that's a matchup I'm looking forward to. Also to Washington and Philly, because I'm not gonna say that Washington will upset Philly, but I think if Westbrook and Beal can kind of be that 1-2 combo, I think they could probably maybe give Philly a run. Knock them against the wall. Push it to 7. We'll see. I mean, Phoenix, I'm sure. Look, they were not very happy that the Lakers won that play in against the Warriors. They were not happy. CP3 was like, why? Like, we can't get a break. So, I'll give them 5. I'll give them 6. I mean, I think the Lakers will win in 6, but yeah, I think that's going to be a little bit of somewhat of an upset, seeding wise, but it won't really be a big upset.
I think the Suns actually have a way better chance than people are thinking. I know everyone's like, all right, the Suns are like, this isn't what they wanted. I don't know. I actually don't have faith that the Lakers are going to move on. I think the Suns might do it. And I say this, and I know, and I've gotten criticized all over Heat Twitter. Every Heat fan is supposed to hate the Lakers because LeBron. That's not me. I'm always going to support LeBron. Hate him first, but I'm not going to sit there and say that I don't still enjoy the man. With that said, I don't have a lot of faith in this Lakers team. I think they're a little bit getting ahead of themselves. I think that they really need to sit down and think about kind of why their season went the way it did. LeBron is not at full strength at all. I don't care what he says. He played and he did what he had to do and he made some clutch shots, but I don't know. I think that the Suns are going to surprise a lot of people.
Never underestimate the impact of Chris Paul. You notice everywhere he goes, teams go deeper into the playoffs and they improve drastically. This is for him to do what he did in Oklahoma City last season with that roster and take the Houston Rockets to 7 games in the first round with a James Harden and a Russell Westbrook, although Westbrook wasn't fully healthy. That's still a crazy dynamic duo you got to work with that roster as a whole, and you still push the brink to 7 games. This is a whole new whip he's dealing with. He's dealing with a coach of the year, Monty Williams. He's dealing with a rising young stud in DeAndre Ayton. He got a nasty scorer in Devin Booker. I mean, you got solid role players in Jay Crowder and the emergence of the young guys in Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson. Like, these are he got some ballers. He got some he got some horses with him. And because of that, the fact that now putting all of that together has made this product, I don't think the Lakers are ready for that. I do think that it's going to be a bit of a shocker and it may go to 7 games. And me personally, I'm betting on the Suns to win. However, though, you can't underestimate LeBron and what he can do in the playoffs because he literally can do any and everything with literally anybody on this roster and take them to the finals. He's done that historically. But like Allana mentioned, though, he is older. Father time is slowly but surely creeping in. He's not fully healthy. And at this point, they will only go as far as Anthony Davis will take him. And he's been hurt for the most part all year long. So with that type of injury, him not being fully healthy, still trying to get his legs under his feet and everything. I'm not saying upset alert is going to be there because of LeBron and what's going on in LA, but I am saying that, like Allana mentioned, Phoenix is a lot better than people think. And the Chris Paul effect, especially playoff Chris Paul, is mad real. So that's something we should not overlook when you talk about that specific series in general.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. It's funny because it's the series that I really don't know who to root for, to be honest with you. Yeah. Because I want to see the Suns win for CP3's legacy, but I love watching greatness. Like, I just love it. I love watching greatness happen and just be great. And LeBron is greatness. It's just what it is. So I don't know who to root for, but I know I'm just going to enjoy watching that because all those points are super valid. But it's hard to go against LeBron James. It's just hard to say LeBron is going out in the first round. And the one thing you can't give a guy like LeBron or any player that's on his kind of level is a challenge. And nobody's ever won a championship at a 7 seed. He's going to be on the road the entire time. He's coming in from a play-in game. Everybody is kind of against him and questioning, will he be able to do it? They're going to have a hard road to get to the NBA Finals. You can't get guys like that challenges. You know what I'm saying? Because then they have something they really want to play for. Now they want to shut everybody up. Now they want to show you how great they are. We watch Mike do it. You watch Tom Brady do it. You watch Tiger Woods do it. You watch greatness, Serena do it. Like, you watch all great players do it. That's how they do. So him having his challenge, it's gonna be interesting to watch. But honestly, my matchup for me is the Clippers and the Mavericks, because I remember that series in the bubble last year, man.
Yeah.
That thing was awesome to watch. And the Clippers let America down, period.
Yes,
35. Listen, in my opinion, and I don't have the back numbers on this, but this is just my numbers. 35% of the reason that bubble was created was so the Lakers could play the Clippers. That's just, like, I really believe that. They set that up so those
for the
guys
Heat
could
to
play.
Thrive. Come on now. That was all us.
You had your time. You had your time. Yay. Yes, good job. All right, wonderful. Jimmy had a 40-point triple-double. Amazing. Great. But I really think it was created for that reason, to see those two teams go at it. And we got robbed. We got robbed of that because the Clippers came out lackadaisical and act like they was just whatever. And then Luka said, no, I'm great. Like, I can do this.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to do this to you. So I think they're coming in with a different mindset. You know, I like the fact they got Serge Ibaka. I like the fact they got Rondo. Because playoff Rondo is a different monster. He really is. So I'm really interested. And he's playing for something too. Like, I won with the Lakers. Let me see if I can do it with the Clippers. Like, he wants to, do it both ways also. So that's the matchup I want to see, of course, in the Western Conference Finals, because they owe us. But also, Luka has shown you that he's great. And once you put that burden and that onus on yourself, you have to do it again. You've got to keep doing it. So he's got to come out, and I want to see another incredible game. I want to see a 50-point triple-double.
Yes.
I want to see incredible stuff happen because you already shown me you can be that. So I want to see it. I'm excited to see it, man. It's going to be great, man. Unless the Heat, try to repeat or something like that. But, it's going to be great, man. We're
trying to do out here.
Good effort. Well, yeah. Game 1. I'm with you. Game 1. I'm with you.
We're at the halfway point of our 2021 NBA playoffs preview show right here on Second City Sports, presented to you by WARR Media, along with Lakeena McGee. I am Sidney Brown. We're joined by an illustrious panel, Big Dave Watson, Allana Tachauer, and Joshua M. Hicks. Guys, let's go back out to the Western Conference. The Utah Jazz, as of this recording, they'll either play the Memphis Grizzlies or the Golden State Warriors. If you're a smart person like yours truly, you assume that the Golden State Warriors have won by the time this podcast is out. I'll start out with you, Allana. Do you give the Utah Jazz any chance of making it to at least the Western Conference Finals?
Okay, well, here's the thing. I hate the Warriors, so I'm going to manifest Memphis going through.
Why do you hate the Warriors?
So sorry. Listen,
why do you hate the Warriors?
I can't stand them. The last time that I rooted for the Warriors was back when Monte Ellis was on the squad, and then after that, I was just like, deuces, I can't do this. So listen, Steph is incredible. I'm not taking anything away from him. He is so much fun to watch, but as a whole, like, I can't stand Draymond Green. I can't back the Warriors. So if Memphis goes through, like I'm trying to manifest out here, then the Nuggets have the Jazz have a better chance. But again, this season is so weird that I can't even sit here and like confidently say anything, because the fact that the Warriors were even in the play-in, like, that's crazy to me.
Yes.
So that's a question mark.
Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I want to so badly, but Utah has shown previously who they are, right? They're a hell of a regular season team. They always win. They're always in the 50-win column, at least top 3 or 4 seed in the West. And then they come to the playoffs, and they either barely win the first round and get through the second, or they lose in the first round. And not to mention right now, they're not fully healthy either. I got to see how Donovan Mitchell's going to be because, you know, he's their leader. He's that X factor, and they got a squad over there. But Donovan Mitchell was supposed to take him to that next level. And if you look at the playoff format, after Utah, if they play the Warriors, I think that's going to be a good matchup. That's going to probably go at least 5-6 games. When you talk about the next opponent they're going to have to play, you're looking at the winner of the Clippers and Dallas series. And if you think it's the Clippers, Utah's going to be in a lot of trouble because of the physicality that they bring, especially on the defensive end against those guys. And you have a Kawhi Leonard and Paul George around your perimeter with a Rajon Rondo, he may not be the defender as he once was before, but can still bring that defensive intensity. And you got a Patrick Beverly who's a dog on the defensive end as well. I mean, Utah, they're in for some trouble. They're in for some shocking. I don't see them going to the Western Conference Finals if they have to play the Clippers in the second round. If they play in Dallas, they have a better chance. Outside of that, though, I don't know. It's up in the air. We really just got to see how that first round matchup plays with the Clippers and the Mavericks. When you talk about the Clippers and Utah Jazz series, if this is the Clippers team that we think they can truly be and live up to that expectation, especially under Ty Lue compared to what they did last year with Doc Rivers, and the lineup they had then versus what they have now, I don't know. I can't guarantee that the Utah Jazz going to get to that Western Conference Final.
Dave?
Well, first of all, let me say I'm rooting for Memphis because, you know, I love John Morant. So I'm rooting for Memphis. I don't think they'll get there, but I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if they won. That team is gritty. They belong in the East, to be honest with you. Like, that is a gritty team, man, and they play defense. And Valanciunas has been awesome, and, you know, they got Triple J back. So they're not to be slept on because they're hungry. They already were there last year in that play-in game, and they don't want to, you know, go out again. So, yeah, they're going to be hungry, and I think they got to watch him. You know what I mean? Just watch him, man. It should be interesting. But, I mean, it's Steph Curry. That's tough. You know, Steph Curry is not fair. He's not fair. But it's going to be interesting. But, yeah, the Jazz, I mean, they've been – it feels like they've been the same kind of team since, like, the 80s and the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Like, great regular season, you know, win all these games, get to the playoffs, kind of disappear. And, you know, that it feels like that's kind of how they've been. You know, of course they peaked, you know, when they went to the finals against Mike, but, you know, you ran into the GOAT, so you lost. But it just feels like that's what they are. And Donovan Mitchell is phenomenal. Like, he is incredible. I love the addition of Mike Conley on that team. He's been great. I love their coach because their coach looks like, you know, he used to be a meth dealer back in the day. He just always looks strung out. Like, he's a wild-looking dude. Well, I like Quinn, man. I thought that when he was in college. I thought the same thing in college. You know, like, is he all right? Like
he doesn't age, though. You got to give him that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it. I'm not trying to diss him. I didn't say he was taking it. I said dealing it. You know, like,
that's a fair point.
Like President Clinton, right? He didn't inhale.
Yes, exactly. Right. Exactly, man. Now, Quinn is the man, and he's shown you that he can coach. Because look at that team, because they're still a gritty, tough team who can score. You know what I mean? And you got a great guy defensively in Gobert there. You've got Jordan Clarkson.
Hey, now, don't bring him up. Touchy subject over here.
Okay, I'm going to come back to that because I want to know. I'm going to come back to that. Because I want to know what's going on here. But he's a very great defensive player. And you've got Ingles and Clarkson, who are both up for Sixth Man of the Year, which is crazy to me. You know, it's kind of like Judas and the Black Messiah, you know, both being up for supporting actors. Like, how you do that? But I like Jordan Clarkson. I think he should be Jordan Clarkson, Sixth Man of the Year. So they're not to be slept on. That's a good team over there. But I think Josh is right. Like, if they get to that second round and they got to play the Clippers, I don't know what you do with that. Like, that's going to be hard and that's going to be tough. But, yeah, don't underestimate them because they're obviously the number one seed in the toughest conference. So that's not nothing. You know, so it's going to be interesting to see. I think they should get out of that first round fairly easily, to be honest with you. But that second round that's when it's really going to start. And they're really going to have to, you know, show some fire and some moxie there. But yeah, no, tell me about Gobert now. What's the hate? Like, what's the hate about Gobert?
Oh, listen, I mean, I'm so sick of Bam being overlooked, and I'm not saying that he had a perfect season, but the fact that he's not even in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, and I feel like Rudy has just always been on that pedestal, like since almost entering the league, of like his name is just, it's just like a second, it's not even a second thought. It's like, of course he's going to be in the discussion for it. Or at least, you know, if he's not in the discussion for the actual award, he's going to be looked at as like top 5. And Bam's over here doing everything he can. So I don't know. I'm salty against him. I also hate playing him as a Heat fan. Like, he just gives us the work every time. So I'm not a Rudy fan, even though I can appreciate his talent. So just his name, you're triggering me over here.
Man. Just for him being alive makes you angry? That's tough.
Well, look, as far as Utah is concerned, I think that I'm in improvement mode with Utah. I'm always show me. I'm from Missouri. Show me, you know.
Hey.
I mean, look, you know, they're not going to be at full strength, so I don't know if Mitchell will be able to play or not. But look, if Clarkson could step up, you know, Ingles could step up, if you know, Mike Conley can step up. I mean, look, Rudy Gobert, you know, sorry, a lot of they can step up. If they get the supporting players to step up, you know, in case Mitchell isn't able to play, I think it can go to the second round. Now, again, if they end up playing the Clippers, then you ask me again in about 2 weeks if they end up playing the Clippers, because that's I honestly don't know what. That's a toss-up for me. So I'm in improvement mode with Utah. They've earned that 1 seed. You know, they were able to kind of hold down the fort with Mitchell being out. We'll be able to do it in the playoffs. That's a whole nother story, a whole nother animal.
I'll just wrap up my thoughts quickly about the Utah Jazz. If they play the Warriors, I think they'll beat the Warriors in 5, maybe 6 games, but I'll give the Jazz 5 games. If they should play Memphis, they should sweep Memphis. And then in the second round, if they play Dallas, I like their chances. If they play the Clippers, they're going to lose.
Short and sweet. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Use that.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about the Portland-Denver matchup. You know, we haven't touched on that one yet. I think that one's sort of like being overlooked, because I feel like maybe this could probably go 6 or 7. This could be a toss-up. I know Murray's out, so that's gonna kind of put a damper on it. But I kind of feel like this is gonna be one of those toss-up series. What do you think?
Blood from a couple years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, what do you think? I'll start with you, Josh.
Dame Dollar time, baby. Dame Dollar. Don't underestimate Dame Dollar in the playoffs. And what makes this go around so unique is the fact that they got Nurkic back. Yep. They have a healthy CJ McCollum. Like, having those components, which is what they lack in the bubble, man, if you have Dame Dollar from the bubble compared to those components combined, Denver's in a lot of trouble. Because what made Denver so unique was not just Jokic and the offense that they run, but was the fact that at the end of the game, when you could close it, you had Jamal Murray. You had the ball in his hands, and he'll create the shot that he needed to create to pretty much seal the deal. You don't have that anymore. So who's going to be your go-to guy to step up on that Denver Nuggets team? Outside of Jokic, has had an MVP year. Of course, he's an MVP candidate. Nothing against what he's accomplished. When it comes to rubber meets the road at the end of the game and in the playoffs, is he going to be that go-to guy? I don't trust that. Jamal Murray, because Jamal Murray served as that guy for them. Mm-hmm. Now you're talking about going against a healthy Portland Trailblazers lineup where you have all those weapons and Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum. You got you got Carmelo Anthony coming off the bench. You have components that can fill the voids that Denver lacks sometimes. And if you can hold that down defensively, Portland may be on, Denver might be on upset alert. And I believe that's because that's how much of an impact Jamal Murray really was to that Denver Nuggets team.
Allana?
Yeah, I agree. I actually got the Blazers coming out of this one. I think that they're ready to go. Dame wants this so bad. So does CJ. Between Nurk coming back, obviously Melo coming off the bench, even Derrick Jones Jr., which I know I'm a little biased, but he has brought it this season. And with Murray out, I don't know. I feel like they don't have someone that they can consistently rely on for like a second and third option. And I think defensively, they're going to be a little bit, I think, under – it's going to be harder for them than I think people are giving them credit for. So I think it's going to go to at least 6 or 7, but I actually have the Blazers coming out. And but besides, obviously, I'm a Lakers fan because of LeBron and I love the Suns, but I love the Blazers. I think they're such a fun team to watch. Their grind is incredible. I think they have such talented players on their team. They're well coached. Like, there's not really anything not to like about this team. So I'm rooting for them.
Dave?
Real quick, Josh, I want to ask you, if Murray was still there, how far is Denver going?
Oof. I would say Denver will probably win in 6.
Like how deep in the playoffs though? Like you see them going if Murray's
how deep in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Probably, honestly, probably Western Conference Finals.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I agree with you. He's the equalizer, pretty much for this. I'm with you guys. I think it's the Blazers. And I don't like saying that because I really do like the Nuggets because Jokic, I mean, not Jokic, the Joker, man. Like Joker had to prove it. Like, Lakeena, how you said, it was in the prove, like that team had to prove it to you.
Yep.
Jazz had to prove it to you. I felt like that about him. Like, he had to prove it to me this season. Because when you drop a 50-point triple-double, I'm like, okay, yeah, right. You know, like, okay, are you really this good? He's like, yeah, I'm really this good. You know, I'm you know what I'm saying? I'm 8 assists a game good, which is insane for a center. And then you lose Murray, and then your team gets better. You know, like in the regular season, they were the 4th seed? They're 3rd now? Like, you know, your team got better, you know, and because they played through you much more, and they ran it through you much more. Now, of course, the trade they made, you know, getting Gordon there definitely helped getting him there. And of course, Michael Porter Jr. now having more room to operate and do what he really likes to do has also been helpful too. But they got there. I thought they got it when they went to the, you know, conference finals last year. I thought that was their peak. I don't see how you repeat that without Jamal Murray because it's the playoffs. It's going to come down to Damian Lillard and whoever you got. So that's what it is. In that 4th quarter, that's what it's going to come down to. We saw it with Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray. We saw that. So who you got? Like, you can't, well, who going to match 40-footers with? You know what I mean? Like, you don't have that guy right now. And Portland has been together way too long and way too much chemistry and know each other way too well for them to go out again in the first round. And like you all said, like, they are healthy. They're usually not healthy come playoff time, Portland. They are completely healthy. Yes. They have everyone. Getting Nurkic back is huge. Like, that's colossal for them. So, yeah, I think they pull this off, and I think they get that win, man. And I think everybody's also kind of rooting for them because everybody loves Dame. So I think everybody just wants to see him do well and, you know, have that success. Because in the world now where everybody leaves to go find that, you know, golden ticket, he's one of the few that has actually just stayed and showed that loyalty. So people support that. So, yeah, I'm going with Portland, though.
You guys just changed my pick. I'm going with Portland in 7.
Love that. Good. Good. Be of service.
Right.
But for Denver, as Dave just took the talking points right out of my head. For Denver, Aaron Gordon, he's no Jamal Murray, but even though he's been to the playoffs a couple of times with Orlando, this is a whole different situation for him. He's going to be expected to step up a little bit more now since Murray's injured. And Michael Porter Jr., we saw flashes with him last year in the bubble. Some games he played, some games he didn't. He's going to be expected to do much more this year. I want to see how those two guys play as the series goes along.
Yeah.
Should be a fun series nonetheless. Real quick though, let's talk Boston and Brooklyn. I mean, good grief. I mean, the Boston, I don't know. Look, I'm perplexed here because I don't know what to think about this Boston team. They're going to be shorthanded. So I think if the Nets, if the Nets are healthy, and assuming that they all are, I think then I wouldn't be surprised if the Nets end up sweeping the Celtics. I don't know how.
I'll make it quick. Let me make it quick. It's over. 4. It's a sweep. Next week.
Love to see it. We love to see Boston just get knocked down. Goodbye.
You're not biased at all.
Me? Never. Come on, Dave.
What about you, Josh?
And I look at this series like I'm watching and one mixtape versus Kobe Bryant and like the young days without Shaq and all those guys. That's what I feel like I'm looking at. It's like, because you got the trio, which is like arguably the best big three ever created, if you really think about it, all in the primes. And then you have Jason Tatum on the other end, who is pretty much their Kobe right now. And who else is really around him outside of Kemba Walker? There's nobody. I feel like if Kobe was in that position right now, he'd probably talk about Sports Parker and Kwame Brown again. Like, that's pretty much how I feel that could
Jason Tristan Thompson?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, my gosh.
Yeah, like, he's like, who do I have on the ball? I got these random no-names on my team. Who am I supposed to pass the ball to? Like, that's how I feel like he's going to go with this series. And that's how Tatum might have to play in order for them to even have a chance, because Jaylen Brown is gone.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm watching L1 mixtape all over again. Kyrie's about to go off. Kyrie's about to go off and do his thing. You're going to have Kevin Durant be the unstoppable scorer that he is and pretty much drop 35 basically. And then you're going to have James Harden, who can come in fat as heck and lose weight in a week and somehow be in shape and drop a 30-point triple-double.
Still probably the biggest mystery of this season, and there's been a lot.
I still don't understand how. I don't know if he's doing Nugenics, hydroxycut, whatever it is that he's using. Like, if Big Frank put him on, Big Frank then put him on, because my man has been killing, right?
Yes.
So if you putting all that together, and you still got Joe Harris, you still got potentially Spencer Dinwiddie coming back if he's healthy enough for a deep playoff run. You got Jeff Green. I mean, why are we even talking? I mean, why are we even discussing it at this point?
Hey, and Josh, she'll like it too.
Oh my goodness.
I like that.
Oh my gosh.
I'll be the jerk in this room to give Boston one game. That's it, one game. Because the networks want to make a little extra money. But outside of that, Brooklyn should take care of Boston with no problem.
You know what? I'll give them one game only because I really do think Tatum deserves a win. I want him out of there. Just free Tatum. Like, just go somewhere else. So if it means getting him one win, I will take the L personally and give Boston a win. But otherwise, I want them out of there.
All right.
Bias.
All right, a little bit. Okay, well, we're wrapping up the last few minutes here with our illustrious NBA panel. Big Dave Watson, Allana Tachauer, and Josh Hicks, right here on Second City Sports on WARR Media, presented by WARR Media, along with Cindy Brown. I am Lakeena McGee. Let's do real quick the NBA Finals. I know we didn't talk about the Atlanta and New York, but we're a little pressed for time for that. But
Knicks in 5.
Yeah, exactly. So that works for me. I know our panel agree. Yeah, exactly. So who do you guys have in your NBA Finals matchup? Allana, I'll start with you.
Who? I mean, realistically, you know what? No, we're gonna manifest here. Let's just run back Heat and Lakers.
You doing it. She's doing it. She's really doing it.
Oh my goodness, she's doing it.
We're throwing all realism out the window today. It's Friday. I'm hyped for the playoffs.
Okay.
Whatever. Like, sure. Heat Lakers, let's go. Let's just run it back. Because I still think that if Goran was healthy, we would have taken that one, but that's for another day.
That's another episode right there, Josh.
I think it will eventually be Brooklyn versus the Lakers. However, my ideal picks that I'm putting in right now, Brooklyn and Phoenix.
I like that too. That's intriguing. That would be. Dave?
Well, I'll say what I said on my show a few days ago. I got Brooklyn and the Clippers. That's who I got. I'm going Brooklyn and the Clippers because I just feel like the Clippers have been real quiet and real under the radar and real chilling, and they kind of set it up how they wanted it. Like you said earlier, Sid, they were avoiding the Lakers. They didn't want to play them in the first round. I completely agree with you.
Exactly.
They wanted to save that and let them go get punched around, and beat up, and then get to the Western Conference Finals where, it can mean something. Because Kawhi is a silent assassin, and that's exactly how that team has been moving all year long. Yeah. It's very silent, very quiet. I have some faith in Paul George. I don't know why. It makes no sense why I have faith in Paul George at all.
He's healed this year. He's healed.
Oh gosh.
I have no rhyme or reason. Honestly, I can't lay on anything and say this is why I believe in him. But it's just a feeling. I just feel like he's gonna be solid this time around in the playoffs. But I think it's going to be the Clippers and the Nets. And I don't see anybody beating the Nets. Like it's just not going to happen. I don't see anybody beating them. It's a disappointment if they don't get to the finals. And I mean a colossal one if they don't get there. So that's my matchup.
Sid?
You guys know during our regular season preview show, I had Brooklyn and the Lakers for the finals. I'll stick to that. But I agree with you, Dave. If it's not the Lakers coming out of the West, it's the Clippers. The road is easier for them. I think they had the second easiest road next to the Lakers, potentially to get to the finals. If this is not the year to do it for the Clippers, there's going to be some problems. So I'm sticking with Brooklyn and the Lakers, but the Clippers should have the better chance of making it to the finals this year.
Oh gosh, for me, I'll say Brooklyn, obviously from the East. It'll be an LA team. I just don't know who yet. I mean, it could be the Lakers, hopefully, everybody can stay healthy and stay, in one piece. Also, it could be the Clippers. Like you said, Dave, I mean, they've been kind of like, sneaking around, hey, everybody, no one's paying attention to us. I think that's how they like it.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get playoff PG. I've been waiting for like the last 6 years. So hopefully we'll get it. Hopefully we'll get it.
Yeah, you don't even see Steve Ballmer losing his mind as
I
much.
know.
You don't even see that going around.
So calm.
Yeah, I honestly forgot the Clippers existed. I'll be
see,
totally
Shots.
He's so calm and cool. Now, okay, real quick before we wrap up here, MVP. Some of the awards that were announced on Thursday. Okay, MVP, Steph, which I'm a little surprised by, but that's another episode. Mr. Nikola Jokic, or Joel Embiid? Josh, I'll start with you.
Chris Paul.
That's mine.
Amen. Yes.
That's mine.
Maybe they rigged them off, man. Like the CP3 effect is so real. I don't know how you can go from a Phoenix Suns team that went to the bubble to do a play-in tournament of their own and lose, and go from there, bring in Chris Paul, and they're the second best team in the Western Conference. Somebody explain that to me that heard he doesn't have his name on that MVP finalist roster. It blows my mind. So for me, I think Joker is eventually going to win it. I do think that. However, I'm putting my foot down and saying that this is rigged, and that they need to put CP3 on that roster because he deserves it, and I think he should have been the MVP this season.
Amen, Dave.
Well, honestly, to your CP3 point, because I think he should have. I do think that, but why I don't think it's crazy is, for me, MVP is always about numbers and winning second. And you got to have those numbers. Like he's averaging 16 a game, like 16 and 8, and they can't justify putting a dude 16 and 8 when you got Steph who did something really crazy and astronomical to be in there. But I'm not saying that I agree with him being third. That's not what I'm saying. But I don't. That's why I'm just giving their point of view and their kind of perspective on it. Is Steph was insane, and the numbers he put up were insane. And I've always felt like if you do something crazy, that's the only time winning and numbers are kind of excused, is when you do something insane. Like Russell Westbrook when he won, that was a 6-seeded team, but you average a triple double. What you want me to do? You know what I'm saying? Like you win. But I think that. But you're right. I mean, we saw what Chris Paul did, and we saw what he did with this team. Like they went from worst to first. Like he did what Jason Kidd did, with the Nets. And Jason Kidd finished in the top 3 MVP voting. So, yeah, that's how that goes. But I had Embiid all the way for a long while. And then towards the end, after Murray went down, and when I saw what Denver did, I had Jokic. And it's hard for me to go against that. Like, they got better. Like, losing arguably not even arguably, their second best player. And you got better. You lost your clutch performer, the guy you lean on in the fourth quarter to do things, and your team got better. You didn't miss a step. I believe in their first 10 games, they were 9-1 without Murray. That's insane. Like there should be a fall off, and it never came and it never happened. So I would give it to the Joker, second round pick, coming in and doing what he's done. I'd give it to him. I'd give it to the Joker.
Allana?
I think that Dave made a good point regarding numbers, and that is how the league looks at it. I don't think that's how it should be. I think it should be, the player that made the most impact on his team. And for me, that would be Chris Paul, with Jimmy Butler being a close second because without Butler,
guys, cut it out. What is wrong with you?
VP
Problem. You have
is
a
in
problem.
full. Listen, he had when he is on the floor, we are a team transformed. So he needs to be in that conversation at least. But Chris Paul is at the top of my list. And I really do think that the league needs to kind of start looking at it a little bit differently, or at least maybe having 2 awards, because honestly, to me, most valuable player means who is like affecting their team most, not who's padding the stats. So to me, Chris Paul deserves it, but I don't pay attention to awards anymore because I think that the way that we do this in this league is stupid.
But you liked it when LeBron won, I'm sure.
He deserved it every time. But
Okay, all right.
I'm with the panel here. Chris Paul. We talked about this, Lakeena, for the last 2 months. Chris Paul was my MVP candidate, but I think Jokic will be ended up 3-2-1. I think Jokic will end up winning the award. If Joel Embiid didn't miss so many games, I think it would have been a neck and neck race. You probably would have gotten it, but Jokic is going to win the award.
I'm with everybody else. I mean, I wish it had been CP3. He should have been a finalist, but since we got to pick between these 3, I am going to pick Jokic just because it's amazing what he's done even before Murray got hurt. I think he definitely took his game to a whole nother level when Murray got hurt, and he's holding down the fort for the Jazz. So I'm for the Nuggets, I should say. So I'm giving it to Jokic. He totally deserves it. All right,
Jimmy Butler.
Listen, you need to take a trip down into Heat Twitterland because the movement is in full effect, and just wait till the playoff. Playoff Jimmy, y'all aren't ready for.
Got that right. Not ready.
And on that note, we would like to thank our illustrious panel, Big Dave Watson, Allana Tachauer, and Josh Hicks. Where they can find you guys on social media? Remind everybody. Allana, I'll start with you.
Yeah, you can find me at Allana Tachauer, Tachauer, on Twitter and Instagram. Obviously part of the 5 Reasons Sports and Network. So me and my co-host Michael Christian actually just launched our own podcast. We're recording a little bit today, a special episode. We had Jason Jackson from Heat Town on last week. So fun stuff happening there. But thanks all for having me on. This was a blast.
Always fun when you guys are on. And Josh, I know you got a lot of great stuff coming up. Tell everyone about it.
Yes, sir. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, Josh M. Hicks Media. And we have great stuff in the Scope podcast this week, dropped with MC Sports Chicago, Rob Schaefer, talking all things Bulls, as well as the little play-in tournament that just played out. So it is now available on YouTube. You should be able to eventually check it out on WARR Anchor as well. Good stuff coming up. Don't want to miss it.
And Dave?
You can follow me on Twitter at Bawl Sports, BAWL Sports. Podcast, Bawl and Bawl on Bulls. You have to say Bawl like it's Avery Johnson saying it. So you got to put some stank on it. It's bow. That's how you say it. So you can follow us there. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, we're there. You can check us out anywhere. Definitely have our YouTube page. You can check us out there. Also, you can check out the show that I host called Open Gym Sports and Culture, which is a show we just deal in basically sports and culture and anything that's going on within the world of sports and anything going on within the world of entertainment or politics or anything like that. We discuss it. So you can check that out as well. But yeah, we all over.
Real quick before we get up out of here, for those of you listening to at WARR Anchor, I'll describe this best way I can. Check out the video footage at WARR Media. Allana, since you're showing your love for LeBron James, I figured I'll show my love for LeBron James too. I'm wearing his 14, so I think you'll like that.
Okay.
You like that?
All right.
How
Not
very
bad.
Kirk Cousins of you. All right. I love this. Okay, this guys, it's been so much fun. Thank you guys as always for joining us. Maybe we can do it right after the season, as summer league, and we'll actually have an off season this year in the NBA. So guys, thank you guys so much. You guys stay safe. Love you guys, and
appreciate you.
Thank you guys so
Safe
much.
trip, Alana.
Safe trip. Safe travel.
Thank you so much.
Alana.
Let's go Heat.
One game.
All right.
Peace, y'all.
All right.
All right, you guys take care.
You guys take care.
You.
Woo.
All right, Lakeena, take us home.
Gotta towel off. They're always fun when we have
Yes.
them on. You can follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter and at Keena McGee on the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sydney Brown, on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. You can follow this podcast, Second City Sports, right here on YouTube. Video drops every Monday and Friday. Once again, video drops every Monday and Friday right here on YouTube at WARR Media. Once again, WARR Media. We're available on all podcast platforms at WARR on Anchor, which kicks you over to all podcast platforms. Type in that search engine box, WARR on Anchor. We're also at weareregalradio.com, WEAREREGAL radio.com. And you can follow us on all social media platforms, including right here on YouTube at WARR Media. That's WARR Media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and right here on YouTube.
Subscribe, like and
Yes.
share, folks.
Yes.
All right. And also thank you to our great panel for joining us today. And for Sid, I'm Lakeena. You stay safe out there. Wear your mask. You're not gonna get the vax, and stay safe out there, folks. So this is my Second City Sports Zoom style, and we'll see you next week.
Till next time, holla.